Next week's presentation. Next week's presentation is a biggie. David Rodwell, climate reality leader, with Don Aitken, a special guest, will give us an update on the current climate situation. Now, David first worked in the environmental arena with the Peace Corps, with tropical infectious diseases detection in Brazil. Upon his return to the US, he re-entered school and did a bachelor's in environmental geography and environmental biology. Mr. Rodwell then went on to graduate engineering school to study alternative energy sources. In 2017, David joined former Vice President Al Gore for a face-to-face training certifying him to present the climate reality presentation, made famous by the film An Inconvenient Truth. Went on to win the Academy Award. So Mr. Gore's work for the environment won him the Nobel Peace Prize. David Rodwell has given his presentation across the US, Canada, and even in Ahihik in 2019. He's one of 20,000 worldwide certified to do so. Okay. And as you know, Open Circle, we've always had the annual presentation, usually given by Don Aitken. And Don will be assisting David this time around. Okay, now for this week's presentation.
And David is here.
Oh, I'm sorry. David, welcome. Was it all true?
I wrote it, so you should.
Oh, so I see. Okay. All right. Well, welcome, David. Looking forward.
No, they're going to do it underneath here, where it looks like a screen against here, and curtains down. So we'll have
okay.
a slide presentation.
All right. Okay. So we're having a visual aspect next week. Yeah. Not just the eye candy of David, but you will have images as well. Okay. This week, Oscar Gómez, Trees and Humans, a long story short. They were there when we crawled out of the water, and they will remain here once we pass away. Trees and humans have a long and intimate story that is worth remembering in times when urban dwellers need them the most. Now, Mexican City's lack of integral urban tree management plans is a perfect opportunity for communities to integrate, co-create, and become stronger. And Oscar is going to take us into a historical journey from millions of years ago to today. Okay, so fasten your seatbelts. Oscar is a Mexican urban forester with a degree in architecture, a master in urbanism, and an arborist certification by the ISA, the International Society of Arboriculture. He co-founded Canopea in 2014 with the conviction that trees have the power to boost urban sustainability, improve humans' physical and spiritual quality of life. Please give a warm open circle welcome to Oscar Gómez. Sound good? Okay?
Yeah.
All right. Let's start. Thanks a lot for inviting me today. Yes. So, we're going to be talking about humans and trees today. In a pretty suitable place, huh? To talk about trees. It's a gorgeous place you guys have here. So, the story about trees and humans is a long story, right? Especially if we consider that when we crawled out of the water, they were there 400 million years ago. We can go even a bit farther when organisms made this deal that said, if you give me CO2, I'll give you oxygen. That was about 3,500 years ago. We can go even farther back when Earth created out of stuff from the universe 4,500 million years ago. We can go even farther back to the Big Bang
No? When literally we were the same thing as we are today in a more complex way, right? But we're gonna fast forward to when we were hominins, about 7 million years ago. To tell this story, actually, I'm gonna tell it to you in it's a personal project I started 2 years ago, and it's gonna take me 20 more years to achieve. It's a project about 5 journeys, 5 books, and these 5 volumes will tell chronologically the story of humans and trees to today. So, I'm going to try to do this in 30 minutes, right? Us as humans evolved as civilizations. And again, fig trees. This is where fig trees, the ones we know, are native from. So, Ficus carica, this species of tree, is well documented that it was one of the first plants we domesticated in the Tigris and Euphrates. So the idea is to go and prove how fig trees again helped us build these societies, right? There's a lot of myths, a lot of even in Greek mythology, you hear it in the Bible how figs are everywhere. Did you guys know that in the Garden of Eden, the tree of apples was not apples? It was actually a fig tree, and that's why they represent also the leaf that that covered Eve's and Adam's genitals was a fig leaf. No, so it's again a huge component of how these trees were part of our history. The third volume will talk about spirituality. It's going to be like the climax of this story. It's going to be in the Indo Valley, where these Buddhists and other religions first arise. Again, ficus trees. I don't know if you knew, I didn't until I started doing this research, but Buddha was enlightened under a fig tree. Again, it's a ficus religiosa.
Bodhi tree?
Bodhi? Maybe. I don't know if they call it. It's a fig tree with like a little, the leaf goes long. It's a beautiful tree, huge tree, venerated from centuries before. So that's going to be the third volume. Pakistan and India. The fourth volume will be like, it will talk about modernity, no? It will bring us to today. Of course, all this is plans like a North Star. I don't know if it's going to happen exactly like that, or maybe I pass away in 1 week and plans come true. But this fourth volume about modernity, the idea is to talk how us humans relate to fig trees nowadays. The idea is to do it in the far east of Asia, where we can talk about the Oriental Middle Ages that were for humankind crucial in technology, watercraft, and maybe, I don't know, at least here in Mexico, in history classes, they don't teach us much about that history, but it's huge, and it has a, if you compare it to European Middle Ages, the Oriental Middle Age is much richer in progress, like, no? And the idea in this storytelling, actually it's not going to be like a scientific research, it's about storytelling. The idea is to come up to this point in which we are here in our cities, our towns, and question how we relate to the tree in our backyard, in our sidewalk. The fifth and last volume will talk about the future. And the idea is to travel Mexico, implementing tree management plans in a propositive way, and document all these big tree species we have that we don't yet know the exact species of what they relate to. So there's like an open spot to research all this. And, well, how are we doing with time? Good? All right. So this is, yes? Right. I have some notes here. So, back to how do we relate to trees nowadays is a subject I've been working for the last 7 years. I co-founded with my brother Ruben, who is right there, Canopea. It's an arboriculture firma in Guadalajara that, of course, we have to all the time be in continuous knowledge of the technical things we need to know to take care of trees, of urban trees, because if we compare urban trees to forest trees, there's a lot of difference with the management we have. In the woods, you can just not worry maybe about plagues, right? Or about invasive species. But in the city, we have to be on top of them all the time because of the context, because of the built environment. We have to be soil science. We have in the cities, the soils are always compacted. They don't have enough organic matter for them to feed. Trees, like they're weaker somehow because they're not in their natural habitat, so they need always assistance, and they are more vulnerable to plagues. We have to be pruning them to form them correctly. So urban trees need a lot of management. So to achieve this, us as Canopea have been working on how to improve this. But the main challenge we have is the social aspect of trees in Mexican cities. We know that even if we could like reforest all Guadalajara, if people don't get involved, we let an opportunity pass. Us as Mexicans, we historically have been becoming more and more individualist. Some authors say that our individualism comes from a lack of trust in authorities. That's why we close ourselves in our families. We're very family-like culture, but outside of that, our neighbor, not so much. Our neighborhood, not so much. And it's a huge, huge challenge. We've been seeing that, and that's our main focus. How to integrate not only neighbors, but companies, other ONGs, students, governments. And well, that's what we have been doing these 7 last years. We have gathered a bit of experience on how to do this, how to, with the excuse of a tree management plan, go into these communities and start a process of community enforcement, or how do you say? Community engagement. And well, that has been the challenge. These two sides, right? The technical and the social. The technical needs a lot of even legislative problem solving. Unfortunately, Mexican municipalities have not considered trees for the last decades. They have in their heads, us as citizens have in our heads that we just go, plant a tree in the sidewalk, in the park, and we can forget about it. And it will do its thing. But it's not so, because as we mentioned earlier, they need to be well pruned, they need to have correct soil, integral pest control, and all these things. So it's one of the main challenges we have as a company, to put pressure into municipalities to have a strong law body to protect and give management to trees. Parallel to it, we know that society must be a part of this, because if not, it will become assistentialist problem solving, as we in Mexico are used to, no? All these urban problems, deficiencies, we always blame municipality. It's all the government's fault, right? And it will continue like that if we as citizens don't get involved. If we don't co-create with our neighbors, with companies, with neighborhood boards. And that's why we feel it's this let's say deficiency of not having laws, of not having well tree management plans. This deficiency is opportunity to get our communities together to solve it. In difference to other countries, we see in Europe, in the United States, in Canada, a tree management plan is just beautiful. It's perfectly solved by the municipality and also by communities. But infrastructure for first world countries is elemental. They've been controlling it. They have solved it, and it's solved. But in countries like Mexico, it's like an opportunity. It's like a chance to even tell government, "Hey, leave it for us, right? These trees will manage." And it's the perfect excuse to get together. We've been seeing that it's a challenge, but we've been seeing how people around trees gather easier. If you come to a community and talk about trees, it's much softer, it's much easier than if you just come and talk about, I don't know, a football field or infrastructure or security. Those subjects, you board them later. No? But if you come and get together to talk about trees, to tell people the importance of trees, their environmental benefits, their economic benefits, and their social benefits, and start having knowledge of the importance of these trees, magic happens. In Guadalajara, which is a 4.5 million person city, it's not easy at all. In smaller communities, we see that it's a bit easier. We see towns in Chapala have a very nice scale, not as big. They have the perfect climate, humidity, and you can tell to have beautiful trees like this one. No? You can see along the road the biggest trees, especially here in La Floresta, those laureles de la India, they're actually fig trees, technically. They're fig trees from India, actually. But you also see Mexican fig trees that still have this co-evolution with their wasps. One big challenge we have also as arborists is to produce local species. Local species is not common to grow. When you go to nursery houses, nursery trees in Guadalajara, they're mostly introduced trees that, because of the lack of a regulation, of a legislation, nursery tree keepers, they grow whatever is easier or whatever the market asks for, even if the market does not know what to ask for. But thankfully, things have been changing in Guadalajara, in many cities in Mexico, for the good. Local species have been more promoted more. Tree management plans are starting to build up. I think we still need time. These are transitions to be made. These are transitions that socially must be changed fundamentally to take place. It's not a thing we can do even with legislation from one day to another. These are things that people have to believe and appropriate them. So that's why this personal project, I'm very enthusiastic about it, will be like a pedagogic trip for people to know the importance of trees from back, way past, how we as hominins fed from trees, we lived on trees, and how even our civilizations have been depending on trees. So we can question ourselves, what is my relationship now with my trees? Outside, in my backyard, in my sidewalk. So this is basically what I was here to tell you guys about this personal project. I'm very excited. If possible, in 1 year, I'm doing talks with the Iraqi embassy in Mexico City. Right now it's not easy. I will have to like sneak in or something. Last case scenario, I will stay in Turkey, where lies, I think, the most important place. I don't know if you guys have heard about Göbekli Tepe. Göbekli Tepe is an archaeological site recently discovered in the late 1990 something. And it's very important because before Göbekli Tepe was discovered, archaeologists thought that the first settlements, or the earliest settlements, were 6,000, 7,000 years old. And Göbekli Tepe is 12,000 years old. So it was like almost double. And this settlement has a religion structures. They still unburying it. They say it's all barely like 20% uncovered. But Göbekli Tepe, I recommend you guys, you have time checking some, there's nice documentaries about Göbekli Tepe in Turkey. So that would be like the main point to go. But hopefully getting to Iraq would be beautiful as well. And telling a bit more about what we do in Canopea. Tree management plans must be an integral thing. One might think that it's a technical way of doing it, but basically what we do in neighborhoods, campuses, or pieces of city, we come, we check tree by tree, we put it in a technology, in a mobile technology to see what species it is, what's its structural state, physio, sanitation, their diameters. We even put all this information into a software that tells you this tree, how much CO2 it captures in 1 year, how much oxygen does it generate, how much suspended particles they capture, which is one of the most valuable benefits an urban tree can give. Tree quality and thermoregulation. Sometimes we think about oxygen production, but we know that most of the oxygen is produced in the oceans by algae, or in northern forests where they produce oxygen and there's not enough biodiversity to consume it. Like in the Amazon, no? The Amazon produces a lot of oxygen, but all its biodiversity consumes it. So oxygen, yes, it's important, but not as much as capturing PM 2.5 particles, which are particles that are proven how they can get into the bloodstream even, and trees help us do this. No? Thermoregulation is also a beautiful thing we can use trees for. This thermoregulation even saves money from energy consumption, from maintenance. So there's a whole range of benefits about trees that our goal is to let them know to Mexican cities, to Mexican neighborhood wards. And what I see here today with you guys as a community is exactly that. Having communities that get together for these kind of events, many kinds of events, and also have this beautiful place is something us Mexicans can learn from other cultures. how to get together as communities, not only in our families, but as communities, in different